Hello, and welcome to Dr. Daniels of Extra. Today it's one of those generic vlog rants, the ones that used to go on my main channel, but now they're coming here because I'm horrible. As anyone with a blind eye will be able to tell you, we're currently at the end of the first week of Wimbledon. As you are aware, I really like tennis, I support Roger Federer. No, I don't support Andy Murray. And today, well, recording is the first Friday of the championship, so on to round 3. Now, I love the BBC's broadcast of it. I think they do a really good job of it. Bit biased commentary, it's got to be said. But one thing I really used to like a few years ago was the highlight show today at Wimbledon. The best years of it, I'd say, would be 2011 to 2014, where they would do a really good job. It was presented by John Inverdale. I know he's been through a lot in terms of, probably shouldn't have said stuff like that, Marion Bartley, but he did a good job at presenting it, and they'd have 2 guests on each night, so it could be John McEnroe.
Fuck, you can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Boris Becker, Martina Navratilova, and it'd be a very good job. John Inverdale would be a good job of hosting it, and the guests would be informative. And the highlights were very good and balanced. For an hour-long show, which I personally think is a bit too short, it should be an hour and 20 minutes or so, they would do 3 feature matches, each one does about 15 minutes or so, and then good summaries of the rest of the matches, so you could get a really good idea of how tennis was going that day. In 2015, BBC Two, in their lack of wisdom, rebranded it to Wimbledon Today. I don't care for that pun, firstly, but now they were no longer in a studio or in a good background setting. They were now in a bar, and it was no longer John Inverdale hosting, it was now Claire Balding, who, besides this, is a really good presenter. I really enjoy her on the Olympics, and if I was to pick someone else, arguably she would be a good person for the job. Now, in 2015, the highlight show really went downhill. It's as if with the new host they wanted to revamp the whole thing. They made it more up to date, down with the kids, Wimbledon Today. And it became more of a talk show than actual highlights, because in total about half the show was highlights, and they'd do 1 feature match per day, which would be Andy Murray, and then the rest would just be summaries. They wouldn't do anything else. It was literally Andy Murray and sitting in a bar. It was awful. Clearly the BBC saw the amount of complaints they got, because on the second week of the championships it became a much more formal Today at Wimbledon. It was still called Wimbledon Today, which everyone still hated, but I think legally it had to be called that because of the contract or something. But they didn't have a contract of how they had to do it, so after a week of mass complaints, it went back to normal. However, the biased... I can't remember how it was the last years, but this year, day 1, if you'd seen me after watching the highlight show, you'd have not seen a very happy person. For an hour-long show, you'd expect, and 64 matches to get through, because 32 for men, 32 for women, you'd expect them not to spend too long on everyone, but enough to be good. So, few feature matches, lasting about 10 minutes each, and then much more summarised matches. 30 minutes on Andy Murray. Yes, he's the number 1 seed. Yes, he's the reigning champion. Yes, he's British. But surely that doesn't mean he should get more time on the highlight show. His match wasn't actually that interesting. They should have done 10 minutes on him at the very beginning, and so that's how the number 1 seed did, and the home favourite. So it really should have been 10 minutes on Andy Murray, and then the rest of the show. They then spend 15 minutes on Jo Konta, the top British women's. That leaves 15 minutes left for the other 62 matches. At the beginning they said, here's what's coming up: Andy Murray, Jo Konta, Rafael Nadal. So I hadn't watched the Nadal match because I was out, and so I thought, oh good, I'll get able to see his match, because apparently he played quite well. 1 point. 1 point on Rafael Nadal. And then the rest of it, they had like 4 minutes of, here's what the rest happened today. The rest of it was just Claire Balding, John McEnroe, and Tracy Austin, I think it was, just talking. It seems a lot of people complained after that first show, because from the second show on Tuesday, it was a lot better. They were more balanced with the highlights, and then it became better. Although, most of the British players are playing on the odd days of the week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Wednesday's highlight show, I can't really comment on because Nadal's match overran, so we only got about 20 minutes of highlights anyway, so there wasn't much to it. So, Friday night, if the highlights are any good, that would be really good if they don't spend too long on the Brits, because, yeah, spend time with the Brits, but the BBC need to realise their audience isn't solely people who like the Brits. Take me, for instance. The last couple of years I've been really angry because, especially in 2015, they'd show pretty much as little as possible of Roger Federer, who is my favourite player. So, I just think this is an urgent message to the BBC. Please sort out Today at Wimbledon, because for the second week, because it needs to get better, as so far it's been quite disappointing. And that's another thing, Claire Balding, I really don't think she should be the host. I've got nothing against her, she's a brilliant TV presenter, although it's just, and a sport presenter, just on this, it's not her best. She keeps interrupting the guests like John McEnroe, who knows what he's talking about. You cannot be serious about him being interrupted, but I just think this isn't necessarily the right place for her to be. Let her present every other sporting event. It'd be like getting Sue Barker to present Match of the Day. It wouldn't quite work. She's brilliant on Wimbledon, but they should stick to what they know. So I'd say either get John Inverdale back to do it, or get someone like Mats Wilander or John McEnroe to present it. I'd quite happily have a fortnight of John McEnroe, Boris Becker, and John McEnroe, Boris Becker, and Martina Navratilova, or people like them, discussing the tennis. Because those three in particular, they know what they're talking about, and they're entertaining. So, please sort this out, BBC. Because Today at Wimbledon used to be the best thing to catch up on the highlights. Now, I'd rather they had extended highlights throughout the night. Because there's loads of red button options. On each red button option, you can have Today at Wimbledon on, and then you can have extended highlights from each of the courts. So, overnight on repeat. So, depending on how long it is, like 7 hours, you could have each match from that court twice, and then the next section, the other court, etc., etc. So, sorry for rambling, but it's something which I kind of care about a tiny bit. So please, BBC, make Today at Wimbledon good. Thanks.